last year, I've done a lot of in-depth research about the main villain of the Fantastic Beasts series, Grindelwald. Because so far, we've been told very little about his character, and more importantly, what his plan is to create a world where wizards don't have to live in secrecy and can rule over muggles for the greater good. Because if there's one thing we've learned from the Harry Potter series, it's that Voldemort's plan really wasn't that great. Like, I'm just saying, if I was Voldemort, I'd have what? Hashtag make Seamus Voldemort. So I'm out here hoping that Grindelwald has a better plan than Voldemort, but the only thing we really know so far is that he's going to seek the Deathly Hallows. And I don't know about you, but that seems awfully similar to Voldemort's plan. But don't worry, I don't think their plans are that similar, because today I'm not only going to try and map out some of Grindelwald's plan, but I'm also going to suggest that he isn't even looking for the Deathly Hallows anymore. Hello there, how are you doing? Now, this whole idea of him not seeking the Hallows anymore must seem completely crazy to most of you, because his friendship with Dumbledore in their youth revolved around the Hallows. The unbeatable wand, the weapon that would lead us to power. The Resurrection Stone, to him, though I pretended not to know it, it meant an army of inferi. To me, I confess, it meant the return of my parents and the lifting of all responsibility from my shoulders. And the cloak? Somehow we never discussed the cloak much, Harry, but our interest in the cloak was mainly that it completed the trio, for the legend said that the man who united all three of these objects would truly become the Master of Death, which we took to mean invincible. However, we also know that Dumbledore had long since given up his dream of uniting the Hallows by the time Fantastic Beasts comes around, so is it too much of a stretch to suggest that Grindelwald has too? Yes, probably. Since the last thing we actually get told of him before 1926 was that after the death of Dumbledore's sister Ariana, he fled in search of the Hallows. Well, Grindelwald fled, as anyone but I could have predicted. He vanished, with his plans for seizing power and his schemes for Muggle torture, and his dreams of the Deathly Hallows, dreams in which I'd encouraged and helped him. Now, we know that Grindelwald does come into possession of the Elder Wand, since he steals it from Gregorovitch, as depicted in the film. And in the books, when Voldemort asks Gregorovitch who stole the wand, he responds by saying, "I do not know. I never knew. A young man. No. Please, please," and then he dies. And because of this description of him being a young man, and considering how much younger he is in the Deathly Hallows in comparison to Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, I think we can assume that he stole the Elder Wand before the first installment of the Fantastic Beasts franchise. However, at the time of this film, we know that he still hasn't found the other Deathly Hallows, despite having an interest in both and a need for the Resurrection Stone in his plan. But here's the thing. He wants the Resurrection Stone to create an army of inferi, and if you don't know what inferi are, they're basically those zombie-like creatures that attack Harry and Dumbledore in the cave in the Half-Blood Prince. Their description on Pottermore is a corpse that has been reanimated by a dark wizard's curse. However, there is absolutely no evidence that the Resurrection Stone can create one of these. On the contrary, actually, because when Harry brings back his parents, Lupin and Sirius, they most definitely aren't inferi. According to the book, they were neither ghosts nor truly flesh. He could see that. They resembled most closely the riddle that had escaped from the diary so long ago, and had been a memory nearly made solid. Less substantial than living bodies, but more than ghosts. And to throw even further evidence against the fact that the Resurrection Stone can create an Inferius, Sirius literally says in the Deathly Hallows, "We are part of you. Invisible to anyone else." Invisible to anyone else, which, if you need a reminder, inferi definitely are. And if you need any more evidence to prove that the Resurrection Stone can't create inferi, according to the Pottermore page on inferi, it says that they are reanimated by a dark wizard's curse, and that spells are used to reanimate a human body. Which shows that spells, as in the thing that comes out of a wizard's wand, are used to create inferi, not the Resurrection Stone like Grindelwald thinks. And while I have no doubt that Grindelwald will probably have an army of inferi on his side at some point during the Fantastic Beasts series, I'm also certain that he doesn't use the Resurrection Stone to get it, and that he has just simply misunderstood the stone's power. And realistically, it's only a matter of time before he finds this out, that the Resurrection Stone can't actually create an army of inferi, and when he does find this out, he'll realise he has no use for the Resurrection Stone anymore, and probably stop seeking the Hallows. Right? Well, no, because Dumbledore even said himself that one of the reasons they seek the Hallows was so that they could become the Master of Death, which has usually been understood to mean that they will be invulnerable, even immortal. So even if Grindelwald had no use for the Resurrection Stone anymore, he'd still seek out the Hallows so he could become the Master of Death and achieve immortality. And this is where I've been stuck for the last year. I've had the evidence piling up that he'd have no need to seek the Hallows anymore, but the fact that he wants to be immortal and would want to be the Master of Death has been standing in my way. Until last week, where, if you didn't know, I was in America having the time of my life working with my favourite YouTube channel, Super Carlin Brothers, on Harry Potter videos. And while I was there, it was announced that Nicholas Flamel, as in the the creator of the Philosopher's Stone, isn't just going to have a cameo in Fantastic Beasts 2, but seemingly a main part. And this was big news, because it brings up the question, what would his part be? Leading us to actually suggest in one of our videos that Grindelwald is going to try and steal the Philosopher's Stone from Nicholas Flamel. And why would he do that? Because it would give him immortality. Like, realistically, why else would Nicholas Flamel be in the film? It isn't as if he's going to be working for the French Ministry of Magic or anything. He's 600 years old. The only reason it would make sense for him to feature in this film is if his life is in danger. And Grindelwald trying to steal the Philosopher's Stone would no doubt put his life at threat. Also, side note, this would help explain why it was seemingly so easy for Dumbledore to convince Nicholas Flamel to destroy the stone.
My friend Nicholas and I have had a little chat and agreed it was best all around.
Anyway, I'm going off topic. The important point is that if Grindelwald was looking for the Philosopher's Stone, it would mean that he's seeking immortality through another means other than the Deathly Hallows. Which can be used as proof that he isn't seeking the Deathly Hallows anymore! Also, to add wood to the fire, we know that Grindelwald never finds the Resurrection Stone or the Invisibility Cloak. At the time of Fantastic Beasts, the Resurrection Stone belonged to the Gaunt family, and Voldemort's grandfather, Marvolo Gaunt, said it had for generations. See this? See this? Know what it is? Know where it came from? Centuries it's been in our family. That's how far back we go, and pure blood all the way. Know how much I've been offered for this, with the Peveril coat of arms engraved on the stone? I think we can safely assume that Grindelwald never got his hands on it. And the exact same applies to the Invisibility Cloak, where it's passed down from generation to generation, with the youngest descendant being Harry Potter. Which again, I see as pretty solid proof that Grindelwald never owned it. And this could just imply that Grindelwald never found them, and he was just terrible at finding things. I didn't want him in my house anyway. Or the solution that I've been presenting you with so far this video, that he stopped searching for them. Now obviously I can't disprove the possibility that he spent his whole life looking for them but never found them. But the fact that he does never find the Hallows does open up a question to J.K. Rowling and the directors of the film, being how much of the audience's time are they willing to waste searching for items that anyone who's read the Harry Potter books knows he's not going to find? And I personally think that this is a really important factor. They're not going to want to waste too much time on this, because they're not going to want to get bad reviews. So from a writer's perspective, you can completely see why they'd avoid this. However, there is of course one glaring detail that I'm seemingly avoiding, being that he literally has a necklace with the symbol of the Deathly Hallows on it. And according to Xenophilius Lovegood, who also has a necklace like this, one simply uses the symbol to reveal oneself to other believers in the hope that they might help one another with their quest. I admit, the fact he owns this necklace is the biggest piece of evidence against this theory. But may I remind you what Grindelwald disguised as Percival Graves does with this necklace? He gives it away! Meaning at the end of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Grindelwald doesn't even have this necklace in his possession. Also, considering what he says about the necklace,
touch the symbol and I will know and I will come to you.
He seems to have put some sort of charm on it so that when someone touches it, he knows where they are. Which is a really weird thing to do with something you want to have on you at all times. Personally, I think there's a lot of evidence that Grindelwald won't be seeking the Deathly Hallows in the Fantastic Beasts film. Like, even in the first one, there are hints that his interests have moved on because he's looking for an Obscurial rather than the Deathly Hallows. And I'm sure in one of the future films, he's going to look for a way to create an army of Inferi. But again, I do not think he will be searching for the Deathly Hallows. And yeah, that's it for the theory today. Thank you so much for watching this long, and if you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like. If you want to subscribe to my channel and be informed for future Harry Potter videos, you can subscribe by clicking here. If you want to see another video like this one, I actually have a video where I discussed that Grindelwald might start World War II in Fantastic Beasts. So yeah, you can click that by watching here. I keep saying that. It's watch that by clicking here. I've said that 2 videos in a row. Also, check out my other social medias here and in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.